Welcome back to RMAC Productions. Today I'm crappie fishing on Hills Creek Reservoir in Central Oregon near Oak Ridge. This is a particularly fun trip. I've recently discovered crankbait fishing for crappies in the spring. The fish are pre-spawn. Hills Creek is a really deep reservoir and the fish are pretty tight to the bank, but they're still in fairly deep water. By fairly deep water, I mean 30 to 40 feet of water. They are not on the bottom. They're suspended anywhere from 12 to about 20 feet. And they're just cruising around in pretty loose schools as far as pre-spawn crappie go. This is a pretty common situation on deep western reservoirs. And I say deep, I mean deep. Reservoirs that are 200-300 feet deep with an average depth of 90 or 100 feet, and they get deep really close to the bank because they are reservoirs that have been dammed up in big deep canyons. These fish move close to their spawning areas and will remain in a loose roaming school near their spawning area until they go full spawn. Once the crappies transition to a full-on spawn mode, trolling crankbaits is not the best way. Jigging, bobber and jig, different things are going to be a better technique. But right now, in their pre-spawn period, while they're in these loose, free-roaming schools, trolling these small crankbaits that dive fairly deep is really fantastic. As far as the size of crappie in Hills Creek, it is a really good average size. Maybe 9 to 12 inches. It doesn't take very many fish to get a meal for your family. You know, keeping 8 or 10 fish should be plenty for most normal-sized families. The location and holding areas of these crappie moves with the reservoir level. So as the reservoir level goes up, as it typically does in spring, the crappies are going to move a little bit and choose a different area that they might spawn in. And as the water level moves, so do you need to move. This fish right here is a nice holdover rainbow that I caught on a flicker shad. I catch lots of rainbows in this location on flicker shad. In fact, I catch rainbows on flicker shad about anywhere that there are stocked rainbows that hold over. Made for a nice bonus fish for the outing. I have a few such bonus fish on this outing. It's kind of nice to not know what you're going to have. I've been letting 50 feet of braided line out on my line counter. It is a fairly small diameter braid. It's only a 15-pound test, but is the equivalent of 6 or 8 pound monofilament. I use that to maximize the depth that my plugs will dive. I have found that letting out 50 or 60 feet of braided line on this particular series of plugs gets you the most bang for the buck. And what I mean by that is you can let out 100 feet and get another maybe 2 feet of depth, but kind of the sweet spot is 50 or 60 feet and you get the plugs to dive 9 to 12 feet, and it's still very reasonable to troll close to the bank without snagging when you make a turn. I did notice 2 particular year classes of crappie. We had a little bit bigger size, 9 to 11 or 12 inches, and then there were several that were maybe 6 to 8 inches. And this difference in year classes is a good sign. It means there's 2 pretty strong year classes, and good crappie fishing should hold out for the next 2 to 4 foreseeable years. I will comment on color selection. This particular day, the Fire Tiger type crankbaits were really, really effective. It's a good idea to have several colors of crankbait. Some days there's a sun perch color, some days chrome and blue or straight chrome or pearl and white work the best. I always kind of like to let the fish tell me. As you can see, I'm having a fairly good day catching several crappies. It should be noted I was trolling a great big stretch of bank. As I moved up and down the bank, there would be little schools scattered throughout the stretch I was trolling. I tried to make a conscious effort to only keep 1 or 2 fish from each little pod. That way I wasn't decimating one school of spawning fish. I am fishing in the evening here, and the sun is definitely going down. I will say that I don't believe that the time of day matters during the pre-spawn. I have been able to catch crappies all day long, especially in these big deep reservoirs during the pre-spawn period. That being said, post-spawn and pre-spawn and all other times of the year other than spawn, I really like fishing the last little bit of light and into the dark. This fish is another bonus rainbow that jumps several times. Always fun to catch. You know when you have one on due to the nature of their strike. They bite these plugs very aggressively. This lake has some fairly big largemouth bass in it. It also has some trout, wild trout that get really large. So for a leader, I like 10-pound test leader material. Leader length is usually 3 or 4 feet of fluorocarbon. Once again, thanks for watching RMAC Outdoor Productions. Please check me out on Patreon, and tight lines.